It does seem like the more resistance-type candidates are getting the most Democratic applause, whether it's Gavin Newsom or Governor J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, who was very outspoken with Trump.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with magazine editor David Mark. David, the Democrats, the Democratic National Committee, had their big summer meeting in Minneapolis this past week. How did that go? How are they doing on their shift in strategy?
Yeah, usually these party meetings are not all that exciting. It looks like a bunch of people, men and women in suits, dressed up, talking about boring political stuff to a lot of folks. But in this case, it was one of the introductions to I think it was the first session, where there was a quote-unquote land acknowledgement to Native Americans, which really got a lot of attention because it's effectively, it seems to be kind of criticizing, undermining modern society, however you want to interpret it. Basically, it plays right into the criticism that Democrats are a bunch of specialized interest groups. And that's not really what voters seem to want in this last election.
Did we see any signs in that meeting or from any of the Democratic governor, senators, party leaders who are vying to be a contender for the next standard bearer? Have you seen any evidence in any of that Democrats are learning the lessons of 2024?
Only in the sense that Democrats did seem to rebuff the most left-wing resolution out there when it came to the Israel-Gaza situation. It was effectively to push an arms embargo against Israel. That one was rejected, but a more moderate one, was, if you want to call it that, was supposed to be considered and then adopted. That one was shelved. Why these issues even came up in the first place is another question. But to answer your question, no, it seemed like most of the basic thrust of it all was that our messaging is off, that we don't have a good PR mechanism, but our policies are fine. We don't need to change anything.
So, that's going to be tough for Democrats, right? Because you could argue they actually have the best style. They have the coolest celebrities, like the slickest social media. Their messaging has always been better than, this guy who tweets in all caps and stuff on the Republican side. But that aside, someone who's trying out different messaging, but not necessarily different underlying politics, is Gavin Newsom, who's trolling Trump on social media. How's that going over with the rest of the party?
He actually is getting some accolades from the party base, people who want to fight back against Trump and the Trump administration, whether it really helps or not or changes the actual situation. Gavin Newsom is leading the drive to redraw congressional districts in California in response to the Texas situation. That's a whole other conversation. But he actually is getting some good PR. We're 3 years out still from the next Democratic National Convention, give or take. So there's a long way to go. But it does seem like the more resistance-type candidates are getting the most Democratic applause, whether it's Gavin Newsom or Governor J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, who was very outspoken with Trump. He's actually, the two have tussled, you might say, over their physical appearances. Neither is the most svelte character in the world. That, again, not passing judgment on either one, but it's interesting that they're really getting quite personal with each other.
J.B. Pritzker, in my opinion, is dying for Trump to send the National Guard to Chicago. He really wants that confrontation. He's like, please don't send them here. Oh my gosh, it would be terrible.
He held a press conference right in the waterfront in Chicago with a bunch of Democratic leaders. And he was practically inviting Trump to send the National Guard in and have that fight with him, particularly because he knows this has already been litigated by Gavin Newsom. They can't actually stop it. He might not like it. Federalizing the state National Guard might be a bad policy decision. People could come up with their own conclusions, but there's not much that can be done to actually stop it.
Right, policy-wise, they actually can't enforce crime, is my understanding. The street crime, it's more of a visual deterrent, right? But politically, this seems to be, outside of liberal circles, something that a lot of voters, maybe not a majority of them, but at least a plurality of voters are saying, at least someone's doing something, right?
Yeah, and that's where a lot of these prospective 2028 Democrats really are going to run into trouble. Some of these policies or approaches are popular, like in Washington, D.C., the Trump administration says they're basically taking over Union Station, the big train depot. Anybody who's been there to catch a train, metro, whatever it might be, knows it's a mess. It's not the most pleasant place. And it actually used to be like a really bustling outfit, Train Depot,
Just
with a
a
lot of
few years
shops,
ago.
restaurants. Now it's like if you've got a train to catch, you go in there, leave no extra time.
Right.
Get in, get out, whatever it might be. So some of these moves might actually be welcomed by people.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You can get more from David and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.